Oh.
Hey!
Look at this.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Look at all those people.
Wow.
How can we see them?
I don't know. What's he? Oh, come on. Wipe your mouth. They just finished dinner. They clean up a little bit.
This is so weird. We know that we're
man.
interrupting your dinner hours, and we just don't care because,
No.
frankly, you're interrupting our dinner hours.
That's
so
right.
I'm Eric Metaxas, and this is what's called a live signing.
Yes, it is.
Premier Collectibles. Actually, you can go to premiercollectibles.com, and you can get a signed book. The book is out at midnight tonight.
There it is.
Right? That's
there
the
it
book.
is. Getting on it.
And I'm going to do a dramatic reading of this shortly. But Albin,
Yeah.
it's my book. I wrote the book with
did.
Tim Ragland, but you are the host.
I'm the host. Now, there was a conflict of interest. People that are tuning in because they're expecting Ernest Hemingway to be signing first editions of The Old Man and the Sea.
Right.
Conflict of interest. We weren't able to get him.
No.
We got this guy.
We tried, folks. My goodness.
Boy, did we try.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So you're going to do the official first signing of the first one here on this.
Now, do we know, Lauren is here from Premier Collectibles. Lauren, do we know how many people, you can show us with your hands, how many hundreds of people are watching right now?
Okay.
Just tell us if it's above 40,000.
Right.
And we will.
All right. It's a
we'll
little less. So that's not bad. We'll take the 30,000 or whatever. We'll take that. Okay.
We advertise this. We can't do any more than we've already done.
We cannot.
So do you have a figure? You could whisper to us or something like that. It's
Okay.
like, okay, so whoever you are, you know who you
Yes,
are.
you-
So here's the issue.
Okay.
Many people have signed up to get a signed book. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to sign books here now. Now, is there a way for these folks to send in names in case they want me to personalize the books? Okay, you have to go to premiercollectibles.com/swamp
Swamp.
to get a book.
Yes.
premiercollectibles.com/swamp. The book, Albin, I guess I should say this in case
should.
people who just happen to be tuning in, they're flicking around. The book is called Donald Drains the Swamp, and it's really not intended for children, and yet it is. It's fun for all ages.
It sure is. Yes.
But we have got a lot of people have emailed us questions. Are they texting us questions?
They're texting, they're emailing. When they buy a book, they write us a question, and we're going to answer like as many questions as we can get to in this hour, and maybe a little bit beyond. Right?
Right.
Did you want to start with a question before you even sign the first book?
Do you want me to start with a question before I sign the first
Yeah,
book?
this-
No.
No.
I want to sign the
okay.
first book. I want to get it out of the way because the pressure just to do the first
All
one,
right,
it's
go.
really huge. So thank you. Thank you.
Do that.
Hold on a second.
You folks watching at home, do not touch the host.
Turn away.
Okay?
Turn away because I just... Oh, I'm sorry. I just remembered. Here it is. Eric Metaxas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've just signed it.
AX,
That's
yeah.
the first. That's the first signed book. Now, if you want a signed book, and by the way, these make the best gifts.
They do.
They make if you give somebody a signed book, they know you've gone to an effort. We know you've gone to almost no effort.
And when you buy
but
the
they will
book,
think that you've gone to a great effort.
When you buy the book, you've already given a gift to Eric. So
yeah,
see that?
That's right.
So it's already.
But honestly, when you give a signed book to somebody, it means something. It means you've gone to some effort. So I've just signed one book.
Okay.
I'm going to sign all the books here in the course of the next hour or so.
Okay.
But Albin, explain to people the whole question thing because I don't really get it.
Okay, so I guess it's when you buy a book, you get to ask a question. See, that's kind of like a bonus. And we have gotten at least, we got dozens of questions here right now. And at some point, I'm getting there, and I'm going to ask you the questions. And Eric told me in advance, he said, doesn't matter what people ask, he's going to answer the question, okay?
I don't care. If you ask
now,
a
keep
vulgar
the
question,
language, right, well, keep it.
I'm going to answer every question there is.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Did you want me to start with the first question?
I always figure you should start with the first question, and then, if you don't mind, do the second question next.
Now, that's what's called sequential, right?
Yeah, we had a big conversation about are we going to go sequential
sequentially,
or
alphabetically?
not? Let's go sequential.
Okay.
Let's go sequential.
Okay.
So the first
question comes in from Ashley in Chicago, Illinois. Okay?
Now, how do we know if Ashley is watching?
I don't know. How do we know if Ashley really exists? But apparently they do.
Ashley in Chicago.
In Chicago.
There's probably only one or two Ashleys in Chicago.
Probably. What are your thoughts on how much we reveal to our children? I want my child to be prepared. He is 9 years old, especially with everything going on against white males.
Males?
Yeah, but white males.
Everything going on against white males.
Yes.
Don't I know it? We're suffering right now. We're suffering right now. I'm just telling you. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's unconscionable that in this country at this date we should have to put up with this garbage.
I got to sit in front of the bus again.
So what's the question again?
Okay.
And is Ashley asking the question?
Yeah, Ashley's asking the question.
Has Ashley decided to buy a book?
Apparently so. Because
okay, so I can't really make fun of Ashley.
We don't know if it's a woman or a man because that's one of those names that goes this way, that way. What are your thoughts on how to reveal to children? I want my child to be prepared. 9 years old, okay, especially with everything that's going on against white males, like the white whale of.
So I assume that your kid is a gropey kind of white male, and you want to tell. Well, see, we have to get serious. You can't. I think really it has nothing to do with your color. So I'm not sure why you say that, but I also would say that. It really has nothing to do with your sex. Men and women know that you're not supposed to touch other people without their permission. Now, the fact that we have to say that in this day and age, he has my permission, so I don't mind to do that once. But the fact of the matter is that we live in a culture which is unhinged, and people, obviously some people think they have permission to do all kinds of things, and I think that you have to be really clear with your kids that, of course, it's not okay to touch somebody without his or her permission, that we're supposed to be polite. Young men are supposed to be gentlemen. Now, if you're a gentleman, you don't even need to tell a gentleman whether he can touch somebody or not, because he behaves like a gentleman. And so the idea that we have to kind of get overly specific, I don't know, my advice is get married young, love your wife, until one of you dies. That's it.
Okay, there you go. Now this is interesting because I do not think the person that wrote this question in actually did read the book. I think they bought the book, they didn't read the book. Would you want your child to speak about others the way this Donald talks about others? Now,
about the Donald in his book? Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. They may mean the other Donald, but here, and then they give us a Bible verse, Colossians 4:6. You don't have to look it up. I'll read it to you.
Actually, Colossians 4:6, I should point out, that's in the Apocrypha. That's no longer considered canonical.
Okay, then I'm not going to read it. No. Let your conversation always be full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. So now you're going to know how to. I'm sorry I touched you, but you'll know how to answer everyone.
So that's what it says. Let your conversation. So read that again. Read it again.
Seasoned with salt. Okay. Let your conversation be always seasoned, full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone.
Now, I have to say that I love the scriptures, but I'm confused by that. Seasoned with salt. Albin, can you exegete that passage for me? What does that mean, seasoned with salt?
I can, but I want to see what you have learned.
I think it means salty language, which means kind of like cursing.
Could be.
It can't mean that. Could be. I think it means just the opposite of that, but it's very confusing. Seasoned with salt would be salty language. And salty language typically means, when you work blue, like Red Fox.
Yeah, right.
And we're not going to do that on this program.
Or you're a sailor or something.
Okay. So, was that a question? Did we answer the question?
That was what about this Donald?
Are we losing viewers now?
Okay, well, the number's fluctuating at this point.
Everyone's on YouTube.
Everybody's on YouTube now.
What does that
They're all
mean?
going there. They're having a party.
Facebook is stalling.
I've noticed that. So wait a minute. Should we stop and tell people to go to YouTube?
They know.
How do they know?
Because they've already made it.
Don't forget, premiercollectibles.com/swamp.
But if Facebook is stalling, does that mean everybody should go?
So when they get to premiercollectibles.com/swamp, there's a link. And
Okay.
they click there, that
Go
takes
to.
them the.
There's a link.
It takes them to YouTube or to this?
So to YouTube.
To YouTube.
Go to
They're
YouTube.
watching on YouTube.
You will discover
how confusing.
great wisdom and knowledge.
I feel like I want to do that.
Here's another question. Now, the person did not put where they're from, but this is a good one. What was your inspiration for writing this book? I think some of that might be obvious. It's so different from your past books, okay? Your inspiration, sir? Donald Drains the Swamp.
There are people
what was
watching this on...
There's 20 people on YouTube.
20 people? Wow. How do we get 20 people?
They all went to the website to buy the book.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're out there buying the book.
Well, all right, Albin, so what's your question?
Okay, what's my question? What's your inspiration for writing this book? And it's so different from your other books.
Actually,
right?
okay, we have to get serious here.
Yeah.
Basically, when I initially considered whether to vote for Trump, I was not a fan of Donald Trump's. And basically, a friend of mine named Tim Ragland said, Eric, this guy's like a folk hero. You should watch some of these rallies he's doing. And Tim was very forceful, and I revere Tim. He's a dear friend, and I thought, okay, I'll look into it. And I kind of began to see what he was saying, and eventually came to like Donald Trump. And then when I realized that the only alternative was Hillary Clinton, I felt that we've got to vote for him for many reasons. I've gone into that many times, but at some point, Tim Ragland and I have been friends for 30-something years, and or 30 years, and he and I have done a lot of children's books together.
Right.
And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do sort of a humor book or a kid's book that's funny about this folk hero named Donald? There's so many people that would I think be interested in something like that. So I approached him, and he didn't want any part of it.
He didn't?
No, he's a Bernie Sanders guy.
Oh!
Just kidding. No, he loves Trump,
Yeah.
but he didn't really get what I was saying. And I thought, Tim, if you don't get this, nobody's going to get this. You're the guy. I mean, he's illustrated so many books of mine, and we've worked together. We always write together, really.
Right.
And but we don't illustrate together.
No, I've seen your drawings. Believe me.
Right. So I said to
Yeah.
him, Tim, we could have a lot of fun with this.
Yes.
So why don't you and I get together and talk about this, but he just wasn't really getting it. And then finally I was in Wichita, Kansas for the weekend. I was speaking at some churches there, some events, and he lives not far from there in Independence, Kansas, and he kind of came by. And on Sunday I had nothing to do because I preached in a church a couple times or whatever, and then I was free, and I thought, why don't we go back to my hotel room and see if we could write
That's right.
this book?
He thought, why not work on the Sabbath, right?
Why not work on the Sabbath? Exactly, because we're not under the law anymore.
That's
under
right.
grace.
We're under grace.
And so we went back to my hotel room, and he had some ideas suddenly. And I thought, okay. And within a few hours, we had sketched out the idea for Donald Drains the Swamp. And at some point, I think I'm going to have to do a dramatic reading of this.
You
because
sure are.
I'm going to do that for you.
Oh.
And
you, and
because,
you, and you.
Because I think that you have to get what this is. I mean, a lot of people are tuning in, they don't even know what this book is. Let me explain actually the most basic
we're getting
thing.
more and more emails here, so a lot of people are buying the book and they're getting it, which is great.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will there be a series about Mike Pence?
How do I put this?
Yeah, how do you?
No.
Okay.
Next question.
Okay, next question.
I love Mike Pence, but I don't think that he's... You see, here's the thing. In this story, Donald is a caveman. And I think people say that that's kind of... If you hate him or you love him, most people could agree that he's kind of a caveman. He's kind of a rough and tumble figure, and that's what some people find charming about him. And I think that he has this folk hero quality. Mike Pence really doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think that as much as I like Mike Pence... Now, Mike Pence, by the way, was the first prominent person who told me that he loved this book.
That's true.
That's not a joke.
I know, that's
Mike
great.
Pence said that he loves this book, the book that I'm going to read in just a minute. But he really does love it. He shared that with me. So,
well, the thing about Donald too, my father-in-law Jack, my wonderful father-in-law, I was watching, said he's a blowhard. You know,
he said that Trump is a blowhard.
Trump's a
or
blowhard.
Pence?
No, not Pence.
No.
Trump. And, you know, he's one of these guys. And that's basically how he talks.
He talks like a blowhard. We know he's actually not, but he talks
like one. Exactly. But people that know him and met him in person say he's a sweet guy.
I think I have to get down to brass tacks. We've wasted enough time.
Okay.
I'm signing books, but I'm going to explain the book.
Yes,
okay?
please explain it.
The
yes.
book.
That's going to answer a lot of questions here, by the way.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
But the book, the basic idea is that there's a place. Maybe should I just read it? Maybe I'll read it. It starts out with a picture of cave people.
Now make sure, folks, that you're taping this because you'll get the audio version.
Yeah,
of
this is
Eric's,
the audio version of the book.
Yeah, the author reads his work. Here we go.
A long, long time ago, there was a kingdom where everyone lived in caves. So they called them cavemen. But the king of all the cavemen went to live in a white castle in the middle of a swamp far, far away. So because he never saw or talked with the people he ruled, he forgot all about them, and the people were sad. Yes. You're gonna act it out. You act it out. There you go. That's very impressive, Alvin. I didn't know he had this range.
Whoa.
Okay, so the people were sad, and among these people lived a famous caveman named Donald. Donald loved to build caves. In fact, everyone wanted a cave built by Donald. Look.
He's building a cave.
He's building a cave. And they went to him and they thought, okay. By the way, one day a group of people came to Donald. They were very upset, obviously, right? Come in, Donald said. Have a seat. What is on your mind? Now you'll notice that he says, have a seat, and the stone where that is the seat, it's gold colored. Donald the caveman loved gold, and a lot of the fixtures and things in his caves are made of gold. All right, and all the elevators were gold. They said, the king has forgotten all about us. Donald nodded. I've noticed. We tried to talk to the king, but the creatures who live in the swamp take up all his time. We try to get his attention, but they always stop us. Would you talk to the king and ask him to help us? I can try, Donald said. But you'll have to get past the swamp creatures. They're slippery and scaly and slimy.
Yeah.
I think I can handle them, Donald said. Maybe I'll wear gloves. These are the people, warning Donald about the swamp people. So, all right. So the next day, Donald traveled to the edge of the swamp. The first swamp creature he met was a Labiosaurus. Hello, Donald said. Hello, said the Labiosaurus.
So far, so good.
I need to speak with the king, said Donald. The people he rules over need his help. It doesn't work that way, said the Labiosaurus. The king only helps those of us who live in the swamp. That's the way it's always been. Would you like to live in the swamp? Maybe I can arrange something. And here's the Labiosaurus. Can you see him? There we go. That's the Labiosaurus.
I think they can. Yep,
right?
there he is.
No thanks, Donald said. I don't care for the swamp. How rude, said the Labiosaurus. You should be more diplomatic. I'm very sorry, said Donald. I don't like you much either. Donald then tried speaking to the other swamp creatures, but they were all the same. Sad. Ooh. Now, this is the picture of the swamp creatures. Now, you'll notice that some of the swamp creatures look a little bit like some people we may know. For example, there's a senator from New York. I forget his name. Crying Chuck. Don't tell me. De Blasio. I can't remember. Crying Chuck. Shoot. I can't remember. But anyway, you'll notice that the swamp is a bipartisan swamp. Have you noticed that? Anyway,
That's
okay.
true.
All right. So the swamp creatures were all the same. They're not interested in helping. So Donald went back to see his friends. I'm sorry, Donald said, but it's even worse than I thought. What do you mean? Everyone asked. I mean, we're going to have to get drastic, he said. How drastic? Donald looked them in the eyes. We've got to drain the swamp, he said. Everyone gasped.
Yeah.
You shouldn't say that, someone said. Yes, said another. The swamp creatures might get angry. Donald smiled. You've all been angry for a long time. Maybe it's their turn.
Good point there, Donald, right?
But some of the people didn't believe he could do it. No one can drain the swamp, they said. It's impossible. A lot of the cavemen thought Donald was crazy, and they walked away muttering. You shouldn't have said that, said Donald. When someone tells me something's impossible, I won't stop until it's done. But others stuck around. Go, Donald, go, they said. You can do it. Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. But how would he do it? No one could figure out how. But Donald knew how. He'd done many things like this before. Of course, he's a builder of caves.
Well, you read, I should show the pictures.
Well, you're going to have to hold it way up because
I see, like that.
Yeah, maybe, okay. Donald knew how to drain the swamp. He'd done many things like this before. It's simple, he said. We just need to make a way for the swamp water to escape. We'll dig a trench. It'll be the best, biggest trench you've ever seen. It'll be huge. And we'll even get the swamp people to pay for it. Actually, that was a joke. That was just an ad lib. That's not true.
Okay. Well,
but he did say this. But Donald said,
maybe.
It'll be huge, biggest, best trench we've ever seen, and we'll even come in below budget.
Uh-huh.
So the next day, Donald went to the edge of the swamp. He put down his club and picked up a shovel and began to dig. When all the swamp creatures saw him, they were furious. "What do you think you're doing?" they demanded. "Are you crazy?"
No, you might be frightened by that picture over there on your...
It's kind of scary, isn't it?
Yeah, sure is.
Donald smiled. "I'm digging a trench. It will be the best, biggest trench you've ever seen. And it will drain the swamp." "You're mean," they said. "We need the swamp. Where will we live?" "I can build you a nice cave near where I live. Lots of us live there," he said. "Ugh," they said, "we can't stand the people who live outside the swamp. They're uneducated. They're uncultured. They're deplorable."
Yeah.
Now, who is that red,
I know.
blonde-haired dinosaur in a pantsuit? Dinosaur.
I don't know.
But Donald was not listening. He knew he had a job to do, so he just kept digging. But then he noticed something he'd never seen before. The green color of the swamp water looked strange. It wasn't a normal swamp color at all. It was the color of money.
Whoa.
In fact, it was money. The whole swamp was filled with money as far as the eye could see. Now Donald knew why all the swamp creatures lived there.
There you go. There's your money.
Follow
There's
the
your-
money.
That's your money shot right there.
So he keeps digging and digging. Then, oh, this is scary.
Oh, boy.
All kids who were 6 months and younger, take them away from the TV
Please.
set. Then Donald saw something huge out of the corner of his eye. It was the biggest swamp creature of them all.
Bum, bum, bum.
It was a monster called the Georgosaurus. This is a 3D book. Look.
Look at that.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
The Georgosaurus. "Now you've really done it," the swamp creature shouted. "You've made the Georgosaurus mad." "Not as mad as you made us," came a shout. Donald turned to see all the people who lived outside the swamp. They'd come to help.
Look at that, folks.
They were all armed with shovels.
Yeah.
"Drain the swamp," they shouted. "Drain the swamp." Suddenly, they were all digging alongside Donald. Because there were so many of them, the trench was dug quickly. And in a moment, the swamp water began to drain.
That's a lot of day players there and extras, background
That's right.
folk.
That's right.
Yeah.
The movie version of this is going to be very expensive.
Yes.
The swamp creatures could not believe their eyes. They began to shriek in horror. Like, remember in the Senate gallery the other day?
Oh, that's shrieking.
Just like that. Actually, not that horrible, but close. They began to shriek in horror. Then they ran toward the trench. But they didn't stop. They just kept going, chasing the money flowing out of the swamp. Can we see this?
I think we can see that. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible how they just chased the money. They didn't care about anything except the money.
By the way, Eric, did you know I'm the original hand model for the pointing finger?
Wow, look at that. That's
yeah,
so
that's
good,
the-
Alvin.
You probably recognize
When you
it.
get fired from this job for annoying me, you're going to need work like that. Okay, so Ray, listen, come on. This is exciting. This
I
is
know
the
it
exciting
is.
part of the
I'm
story.
sorry.
They're all chasing it.
Okay.
Even the king,
Oh.
even the king himself left the swamp and chased the money, and the Georgosaurus too. Look at that. Look at now the Georgosaurus is not a Hungarian billionaire, in case you're wondering. Okay, so they're all chasing the money out of the swamp. The money flowed away so fast and so far that all those chasing it were never, ever seen again. All the people cheered. Once the swamp was drained,
Yes.
everything looked different. It was beautiful. Flowers bloomed and trees grew. But after all that, the people still couldn't talk to the king. Obviously, he had run away following the money. So what was the point of all they had done? Good question. Then a little girl had an idea. Hey, what if Donald were our new king, she asked. Donald, everyone shouted, would you be our new king and live in the castle and let us talk to you when we have a problem? You don't need a king, Donald said. You're free now. A king orders his people around, but whoever leads a free people has to take his orders from them. You mean like a president? They asked. Sure. And if that's what you're looking for, I guess I'm your caveman. Everyone cheered.
Yay! Hey.
The people gave Donald a special cave outfit that represented their newfound freedom. So Donald and his family went to live in the castle. He did some remodeling, but he kept it under budget. Now you'll notice that he was wearing a regular cave costume, but the new costume, the costume that represented freedom, of course, was in red, white, and blue. And that doesn't represent France, in case you're wondering.
Okay.
That's America.
Okay. Get that straight.
So Donald and his family went to live in the cave. In the castle, sorry. He did some remodeling, but of course he kept it under budget because Donald, he keeps things under budget. And it says, and the people lived happily ever after, bigly. The end. That's the story. And this is the author. Look,
there he is.
To be perfectly honest, the author. You know what we forgot to mention? Throughout the book, you're going to see a little bird.
Yes, right.
The bird likes to tweet. That's all I'll say about the little blue bird. It enjoys tweeting.
So you got everything.
But I just want to
there.
say that Tim Ragland, who illustrated the book, my genius friend Tim Ragland, he also authored the book with me. And all the funny stuff in the book is probably Tim. I hate to admit it. But the best drawings were also done by Tim.
Okay.
So now I've read the book.
You have read the book.
Can I go home now, Lauren? Can I go home?
Yeah. Just
no?
take your books.
Hey, my wife showed up.
Yes,
Holy
I know.
cow.
Here she
Tell
is.
my girlfriend to take the back entrance. No, but look at this. We've got people here.
I know.
Isn't
We got
this
a little.
sweet?
We may have more audience here.
Suzanne, you want to be on TV? Because this ain't it.
Yeah.
We're gonna. So now
you got. Somebody asked, tell us about the illustrator. Do you want to talk a little bit more
about the illustrator?
Yeah.
Well, he's an angry drunk. I'll tell you that much. So.
But this is going to help because
Tim Ragland. No, we've been friends for 30 years now. I've known him for 40. No, we've been friends for 30 years, and that's consecutively.
Okay.
Yeah, every year we've been friends.
We'll try that out.
Tim is, if you look him up, timragland.com, he is, I mean, I know he's not watching this because he's busy tonight, otherwise he would have been here, but Tim is a genius, and when you look at his illustrations of the Uncle Muggsy books in particular, it's astounding. He didn't do that kind of super fancy work for this book. This was a rush job. He did this like in a weekend.
That's right.
That's not true. But in all seriousness, the Muggsy books, he spent years drawing them, and I mean literally, and they are so beautifully illustrated that it's astounding. I mean, obviously I love the illustrations in this book, but
this
he
looks
has
like
done work.
He colored this until the ink ran out. Then
Yeah.
it was like, okay,
Yeah,
the last few pages,
The last few pages
faded.
are black and white.
Yeah.
Well, what else can I tell you about Tim? He's a hard worker.
He lives. Well,
He's
this
clean.
I liked. I read this.
He's
I like
clean
this.
shaven. Hold on, I want to describe him in case he commits a crime. He's clean shaven, about 5'10", I think.
Okay. He could work for the
Dresses
Yankees.
a little bit like a fop, and he trained me. He trained me to how to dress. I never outdo Tim though. Tim is an amazing. He really knows.
Well,
he knows
I love that
clothes.
he was born and raised in Independence, Kansas, and he now lives in Independence,
Kansas. Right.
I like that.
So he's
about
obviously
him.
not gone very far. It's
No.
sad. He's literally not gone anywhere. He's still there. No, Tim. I'm not kidding. That if it weren't for Tim, I need to say this. If it weren't for Tim, I never ever would have done this book. This book was inspired by Tim, and we had a kind of a situation where it was very, very hard for him to illustrate it because of timing and stuff. And I said, nobody can illustrate this book but you, Tim. So it took some doing, but we got Tim finally to agree
and it's
to
done,
illustrate
yeah.
it. And I really am sorry that he couldn't be here. He had some other event in the Midwest, so
Yeah,
he couldn't be here.
he
But I'm
was,
sure that he'll watch this.
He was in a lawn dart tournament or something.
Yeah.
Okay, now somebody asked, are you going on a book tour? Now, see, that's one of the reasons why you go to premiercollectibles.com/swamp and
Yeah.
get the book signed in case you're not going to be in.
I'm always traveling and speaking, and if you go to my website, which is ericmetaxas.com, where you go to ericmetaxas.com, it says speaking, and you click on it, and it gives you all the dates where I'm going to be. We're happily, we would happily add dates if you have an event or something you want me to come to do a book signing. I'm happy to do that if we can work it into the schedule, because I love traveling and speaking and signing books and meeting people. It's actually something I enjoy very much. But in case that doesn't work out, the only place to get a signed book is premiercollectibles.com. And Premier, of course, has an E at the end. If you don't spell it correctly, you won't get there.
You'll get lost, yeah.
With an E at the end. premiercollectibles.com. I've always found Premier spelled with an E to be kind of pretentious. What do you think about that, Alvin?
I definitely, like
If
spelling
they're-
theater with a TRE, right?
Right.
Come on,
and
folks.
If there weren't an employee from Premier in the room,
Okay.
I'd really lay into him about that.
Don't do that.
But I won't.
I love this question. Does the president have a copy of this book?
Oh, you know what? That's an easy one. Maybe. Or actually, let me rephrase that. He might.
Definitely maybe.
Actually, no. I have signed several copies for him and his current wife. What's her name?
Milan?
Can't never get them straight.
Milan? Yeah.
It's the third one, the pretty one.
Oh, yes.
Melania.
Yeah.
Yes, Melania. Actually, she is so beautifully dressed. My wife and I laugh because she looks more beautiful and more well dressed every day. You see her on TV.
Yeah.
And they've kept her out of vogue because Anna Wintour is a very, very bitter woman, and she's kept Melania out of vogue.
Yeah, no,
So
they don't usually put the first ladies
so
on fashion magazines
that's,
anyway.
That's not
you know,
true.
That's
Are you kidding? Michelle Obama was all over the fashion magazines.
It's a joke,
Even when
my
she didn't
friend.
want to be.
It's a.
Oh,
it's
is that a joke?
No, they actually had something about first ladies. Time magazine did a first ladies, and they had all the first ladies on the front of the,
Yeah.
and then on the very back in
Yeah.
the lower left-hand corner there was Melania.
Right.
Well, she
Well,
made it though. She made it on
anyway,
the cover.
I signed copies to the president and to Melania and to Barron. And we've sent them to them. Whether they have them or not, I don't know. We know that they're going to get them eventually. As I said, Mike Pence has a copy, and he was really fulsome in his praise. He really liked it. And we've got copies to his kids,
Yes.
to Donald Jr., and to Eric Trump, and to Ivanka Trump. And now Tiffany Trump does not have kids yet; she's very young. And Barron, of course, is a kid. But
Right.
you know, they all have them. I know that. I think Donald Jr.'s son celebrated his 5th birthday the other day, and he got the copy. I guess it was either yesterday or the day before. So we're kind of excited that we know they're going to like it because. Look, how can you not like it? Donald is the hero. He drains the swamp, right? We're thinking of doing a sequel called Donald Builds the Wall.
That's right.
If Congress can get him funding.
That's right. So it's all up to Congress now, whether the
Yeah.
do-nothing Congress, whether this next book comes out.
Hey, Congress, you want a sequel? Give him the funding.
Come on, let's go.
Give him the funding.
Now, I love this question in particular. This is a real question that came in. What's it like working with Albin Sadar? We're out of time. I'm sorry, folks. That was it for the evening.
You know, maybe we could take that off the air.
Okay.
What else? What else?
Okay.
You got
What
there,
else do we
Alvin?
have here?
Anything I can answer
yes.
on camera?
Some of this you can. Now, who is this book targeted for? Now, some of these questions you have covered.
Well, the book is targeted for people of all ages. I hate to put it so bluntly, but if you're a person of any age, I would say this book is probably for you. It's fun for all ages. Now, the humor, there's humor on a number of levels in here.
Mm-hmm.
Kids laugh at it, but they're not laughing at the caricature of the majority leader in the Senate or anything like that. They won't get that kind of a joke. Do you understand? They're not going to get that. And they're not going to know about the Hungarian billionaire trying to destroy freedom on the surface of planet Earth. They're unaware of that kind of stuff. And kids should be unaware of that kind of stuff. But adults will appreciate that humor. There's some other humor in here that I feel like I haven't mentioned that as I was flipping through, I forgot to say something. In any event, when you read it, there's all kinds of like little Easter eggs in here that'll pop out at you that we really can't say publicly. But the Lobbyosaurus is not based on any particular lobbyist. He represents all lobbyists
That's good to know.
And evil people in general,
That's good.
mercenaries in general.
That's very good to know.
Yeah.
We don't want a bunch of lobbyists like suing you or something.
No, it's interesting that that there really is a lobbyosaurus. They found the fossils in D.C. You know, when they were making it, and
Where
anyway, you
else?
can look that up on Wikipedia. You know,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
all
It's all there.
It's
and
all there.
It's there. By the way, we were provided with 22 questions that you're supposed to answer in 2 minutes. So I want to take a break from some of the questions that are coming in.
Is that
Yeah,
true?
You know, that is true. I was
Can I
reading
get-
them down.
Can I drink?
Yeah, take a drink because you got only 2
It's
minutes
Miller
to
time.
do this. There you go. Yeah. And by the way, I'll have to tell you about my Francis Tavern that I went to, which is where George Washington gave his final speech to the troops, which kind of ties into all of this, where Washington said, "No, I don't want to be your
I don't want to be your king.
Yeah.
Because the base pay stinks.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Not in this country. Maybe back over in England. 22 questions. Okay.
Okay.
in
Now,
2
actually,
minutes.
before you do that, just one thing I don't want to forget to mention. At the end of this book, when Donald says that he doesn't want to be the king, that comes. This actually happened. The first president of the United States, just like the first president of the former swamp, was asked before there was a president, would you be the next king? They wanted George Washington, General Washington, to do a military coup and to say, forget all this liberty stuff, we're going to make you the king of America. You're going to be King George the First of America. Who's making noise over there? King George the First of America. And he said, no, we have fought for liberty, for self-government. I refuse to be the king. And they made him president, of course. But what a concept that a man, I mean, the man in this book, of course, is offered that. But in real life, in 1783, the great George Washington was offered the kingdom of America. And he said, no, I turn it down. And that kind of nobility, to me, it's so beautiful that I thought I wanted to do an homage to it in this book. And so that's why at the end of the book, you can teach your kids that George Washington, our first president, actually did this. It's amazing. I mean, it's really amazing. I write about it in my book, If You Can Keep It, which, you know, if your kids are younger than 12, they're not going to be able to read it if you can keep it. But perhaps this book can introduce them to the concept.
And if you're ever in Manhattan, you go down to the tip of Manhattan here, and you go to the Francois Tavern.
The
It's
Francis Tavern.
Francis Tavern, right.
Yeah.
And that's where he said goodbye. And just about 2 hours ago, I said goodbye to burgers and fries.
You went to
Yeah, the
Francis
tavern.
Tavern.
Yes, I did.
Killing time before you had to come
I
here.
had to kill
Because you
time.
got to take a train
Yeah.
back to Westchester. It wasn't worth it to go all the way
No,
home.
don't go home.
So you went to
Home.
Francis
What
Tavern.
about Francis Tavern.
And you had a
burger,
burger.
and I
That's
had a-
just swell,
a
Alvin.
beverage,
You know,
I
I've
would
never
say.
been to Francis Tavern.
It's very nice. The burgers are
But
pretty
Francis
good.
is dead, isn't he?
No, yes. But they
But
still have
they
it.
still use
got
his name.
Well, they got a glass casket there, and he's like right there.
Really?
Well, you could eat on top.
Incredible.
Of it. Never mind. 22 questions in 2 minutes. Are you ready, sir?
You're not kidding.
I'm
You're
not
gonna ask me
kidding. These are
22
fun
in 2
questions. Yeah.
minutes?
Now, some of them are just basic questions people are going to want to know.
Okay, you ready?
And I know some of the answers here.
Okay.
Where were you born?
New York City.
Okay. Who would you want to play you in the movie of your life?
I'd like to play myself if you don't mind.
Okay. I was thinking George Clooney. But
Look,
let's-
if Babe Ruth could play himself in The Pride of the Yankees, okay? Lou Gehrig obviously was played by Gary Cooper. But Babe Ruth got to play himself. Jackie Robinson got to play himself in the Jackie Robinson story. Why shouldn't I get to play myself? Just because I'm not a big league baseball player?
Right.
That's not sufficient answer. I'm gonna play myself.
What was your first job?
What was my first job?
Yeah.
When I was 12 years old, my old man would get drunk in the basement, then he'd beat me with the empties. And that's not true. When I
All
was
right.
12 years old,
It's not funny.
I got a job washing dishes at Joanna Biniaris's Luncheonette in Bethel, Connecticut. I'm still friends with the Biniarises. I did such a good job washing dishes that we're friends to this day. But yeah, that was my first job. I was 12. I would do it on Saturday and Sunday afternoons, and mornings, and I got paid $1.50 an hour, which in those days was bad money. That was ripping.
Okay. Well, this, of course, is 2 questions in 22
But
minutes.
there were no
so
other 12-year-olds to join me to go on strike and to form a union.
There you go. What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear?
Yes.
My biggest fear. My biggest fear would probably be that my daughter and others that I love would walk away from Jesus. I'm going to put that right out there. That's the most important thing in my life. That anybody I love would walk away from the love of God.
Okay.
I didn't mean to be a downer.
You are.
You're asking the questions. I didn't come up with this stuff.
Look, okay, now here's the other side of this. Who makes you laugh the most?
Other than you?
Yeah, you got it on, you crazy
Who makes
kid.
me mad? I would say, you mean people who are living today?
Yeah, like, you know.
Nobody.
No favorite comedian?
I was gonna say that. Well, if you go on YouTube and you look up Charlie Callis on the Dean Martin roasts,
Oh, boy.
or Foster Brooks on the Dean Martin roasts, nobody actually could make me laugh more than they could.
Okay.
So, sorry.
What is the one thing you need to have in your fridge at all times?
That I need to have?
Yes, in your fridge. You need to have it.
I don't think there is anything like that.
Okay. All right. Something cold. What is your greatest accomplishment?
My greatest accomplishment?
Yes.
I would like to think that my greatest accomplishment is far ahead of me at this point in my career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great way to think of it.
Yeah.
Who is the most interesting person you met recently? Now, you've had a lot of people on the radio show.
I literally can't remember whom I've met recently.
It says
I've met.
who, yeah.
But no, but who?
Who is the most interesting person recently that you have met?
I've met. Who have I met recently? You know, you're with
well,
me.
I know.
You've met all kinds of people, but I can't
you're
remember.
Right. Well, what about Diamond and Silk? You didn't meet them in person, but you met them.
I
on
didn't
the
meet them
radio.
in person, but I'm going to meet them.
Yes.
They're going to have me on their show.
Yes, they are.
To talk about this book.
I wrote to their.
But you're not going to be able to get a
publicist.
signed book from that show. If you want it, you're going to have to get a signed book. You're going to have to go to premiercollectibles.com/swamp.
Okay.
Now, they're charging $20 for these, right? Folks, that's the list price.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, they were all charging, they may still be charging $20. So for $20, you get a signed book. You can probably get this cheaper if it's unsigned, and I hope you'll buy unsigned copies. But for $20, I mean, as a gift, at this point, for somebody to get this as a gift and to not have it signed, they're going to know you weren't willing to spend the extra $4 or $5.
Few bucks
That's
more.
embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
For example, you're trying to impress a woman, because I know there's a couple of guys watching this. You're trying to impress a woman. You give her this book and it's not signed. They're going to go, holy cow, does this guy even have a job? Because a man with a job would be able to afford a signed book. He'd pop the $20 out there without even thinking.
Yeah.
Without even thinking.
And you don't know what Eric's signature looks like, so you can't just write Eric Metaxas and misspell
You can't
taxes.
forge it. I could forge it. I've been forging it
He
all night.
can,
But you can't.
not you.
But for $20,
20
I can
bucks.
forge it for
Anyway,
you. No questions asked.
Asked. What is your middle name? And by the way, the middle name is not in here. Stumper, huh?
Cedric? Wait, no, don't tell me.
Cedric the Entertainer.
I'm gonna go with John.
Good.
Is that right?
I don't know. I'm gonna go with John too. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Well, here's the thing. If it's really big, it's no longer a pet peeve.
What boils your
You
potato?
ever think
in
about
other
that
words?
when you ask that clever question, huh, Charlie?
Okay.
My biggest pet peeve. Actually, some of my pet peeves have to do with language. I'll give you
Yes.
one that now that I'm going to ruin your life. If you listen carefully to this, this may ruin your life. Everywhere I go, when I say thank you to someone who's like, serve me an iced tea, or any restaurant or anywhere you go, you say thank you. People have seem to have forgotten that the proper answer to thank you is you're welcome.
Huh?
Now they seem to say no problem.
Yeah. No problem.
No problem is incorrect. When people say no problem, snap at them and say wrong. It's you're welcome. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, madam. And I have to tell you, everywhere I go, I mean, the most dignified people now say no problem. It's really weird.
This brings up a point. Saying thank you is a thankless job.
Right.
Okay, next question is going to be, what is your favorite hobby?
I actually don't have any hobbies, I don't think.
Okay.
This is my hobby.
Okay.
It's that sad.
What is the last book you read?
The last book I read, we recently had
He's
Mark...
too busy writing books.
We recently had Mark Helprin at
Yes.
Socrates in the City. Mark Helprin, Helprin, not Halperin, Mark Helprin, is a genius writer. And if you watch the last Socrates in the City, you will see me rave and rave and rave and rave about him because he is probably, well, I would say certainly the best fiction writer living today. The only people who might compete with him are people like John Cheever and John Updike or Nabokov who have passed. He, to my mind, is the best fiction writer living. His short stories in the book Ellis Island and Other Stories is the last book that I read. Now, I read it many, many years ago. I read it many times in between. But recently I thought, let me read it again. And it is...
And that's funny because I'm reading that. I'm reading that now,
right?
too.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Huh?
Okay. Right.
All right. What cause is dear to your heart?
What cause is dear to my heart?
A lot of people
I thought it was
listen.
what cause is dear to your heart. And I thought, dear to your heart, is that a disease? And what causes it? I think probably too much sugar, not enough vegetables in the diet. What cause is dear to my heart? I think the pro-life cause.
Yeah.
I feel that the unborn obviously do not have voices to speak, and we need to speak up for them, and we need to let people know that wherever you are in life, there's no reason for you to deny someone a life. You've had a life. I've had a life. To deny someone life, it's a real human being. To deny them life is not something that is permissible. It's not okay for you to do that. You don't have any right to do that. Now, if you don't want to raise them, that's fine. There are tons of people who love to adopt, and that's beautiful. And you can give somebody the greatest gift in the world, which is a baby, a human life, somebody to love. That's really beautiful. So that's the cause that's closest to my heart.
Good, good. What is number one on your bucket list?
I ain't got no bucket list.
I ain't got none.
But if I did,
If you did,
I think batting fourth for the 1969 Mets. With God, all things are possible. I'm believing God to make that happen.
okay then.
Hey, maybe my faith is bigger than yours, Al.
Oh, it might be. I don't know. I'm in your shadow right now. Do you have any hidden talents?
No, all my talents are on display.
They're right out there.
Yeah,
Boom.
they're right out there.
Right, they're all in this
now,
book.
Now, it depends. When you say hidden, I think that people... there's so many things I like to do, right? I love to sing. I don't get to sing, but I love to sing. So the few times I've done that, I've enjoyed doing that. There are a number of things like that I enjoy doing that I don't get to do. But hidden talents, no.
Okay. Okay.
Did you do it all? That's 22 questions?
No. There's one more here. Where do you want to? Now this is good because you seem to have been everywhere, at least in America. But where do you want to go that you've never been before?
I've not been everywhere in America. There are a number of states that have still not invited me to speak. One of them is Mississippi. Another one is also Mississippi.
You listening down there?
And the third one is Alaska.
Hey, up there?
Hawaii.
Okay, over there?
Guam.
Get on the phone, you guys.
No, but actually, I just recently spoke for the first time in I almost said South Korea, in South Dakota. I've been in North Dakota, South Dakota. I'd never been to South Dakota until very recently, and I really enjoyed it. I was in Sioux Falls.
Yes.
But I've never been to Montana.
These are a lot of states.
I've never been to...
But where would you want to go? I mean, let's just
I've never been invited to Maine to speak. Hey, Maine, what's with you?
Seems like you want to go places that people don't invite you. I mean, is there a place you want to go that...
Well, any place that I've never been. There are actually many places that I've been before. Most people don't know this, and my wife is sitting right here. I don't think she even knows this, but I have a family in the Dominican Republic, a wife and children. I rarely see them, so I'd love to go to the DR and see wife number 2.
Here's a man that loves to give, right here. I'll tell you something. I am impressed, by the way, and it does not take a lot to impress me. So thank you. Thank you very much. These are
Alvin,
good.
we didn't show. We've got to show.
Oh, you got to show this.
Tomorrow night we're having a kickoff party for the book, and it's invitation only. So we can't tell you where it is.
I'm still waiting for my invitation.
You're. I think. Yeah, you're not invited. I apologize. But at the party we're giving out these kind of like, well, they're buttons, but they're like campaign buttons, and they say, "He's my caveman," because in the book, obviously, Donald says, "I'm your caveman," and so if you like him, meaning Donald, we can sell you these buttons or give you these buttons or something. We're working on that right now. But it's a fun idea. He's my caveman. You can wear it proudly. I could have been wearing it proudly all this time.
You could have. And the more you like Donald, the more you're going to pay for it, right?
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Okay. We still have some other questions here.
Really? Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's get to everything.
I'm looking here. I want to get something that's really, really. Oh, this is good. What was your? Most people, a lot of people know this, but listen, but some people don't. Okay, what was your religious upbringing as a child, and how would you describe your religious outlook today?
My religious upbringing. Let me see. Do you know what Zoroastrianism is?
You too.
And do you know who the Rosicrucians are?
Them too.
Yeah. Well, let me just say that I'm not casting aspersions on those groups, but I've never had anything to do with them, and I'm not really prepared to comment on that at this time.
They have colorful names, though.
My father is Greek, from Greece. My mom's German, from Germany. They met in an English class here in New York City, a couple of miles from here, in 1956, and they married. And of course, if you're raised Greek and German, that means you will be raised
Greek and German.
Greek.
Oh.
The answer is Greek.
Oh,
so I was raised in the Greek
German.
Orthodox Church. And I went to Transfiguration in Corona, Queens. I was born in Astoria, Jackson Heights, and then we went up to Danbury, Connecticut. And I went to the Assumption Greek Orthodox Church growing up. When I was in college, I kind of drifted away from my faith, but I rediscovered Christian faith around my 25th birthday, and I write about it in another book. But actually, if you go to my website, Metaxas.com, I tell the story there. But at this point, I'm just kind of a non-denominational, sawed-off Jesus freak.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. I'm seeing some other little questions. Okay. This is a nice one. I think a lot of people are probably thinking this too. Will you be writing more historical nonfiction?
Historical nonfiction. Let me think about that. No.
Okay.
Actually, I may. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so. My next book, actually.
Yeah, this is interesting.
My next book is it's really an autobiography of some people. No, it's an autobiography. It's my autobiography.
He's looking for someone to write it.
It's really a spiritual memoir.
Okay.
And it's going to come out next September. And I'm really excited about that because my story of growing up and everything and going to Yale, there's a lot of funny stuff. There's a lot of humor, a lot of funny stories, and I wanted to write that. But also, it has great meaning to me because I wrote it. No, because the path to find faith is kind of an amazing thing, and I wanted to be really public with that story. So that's coming out, and then I'm writing a book. It's a nonfiction book.
Yes.
About Homer and the Odyssey. That's all I'll say.
I know. And you're researching that now, too.
Yes,
so
right now.
That's right. So if anybody out there knows anything here needs material, please, fast.
Yeah, quick.
The publisher's waiting.
I need help.
Yes.
I need help. I've noticed that Facebook's not working.
It's working for some.
It's working for some?
It's working for some.
Good.
For the people who are tuned in.
Okay, so what else can we tell the people, Albin?
Oh,
do we have more questions? You gonna eat a fortune cookie?
Yeah, I'm gonna. We sometimes do this on the air. We take a look at fortune cookies.
No, we don't.
Cookies.
We
do.
did it once, I think.
Well,
we did it once.
Okay. Here, I'm just reading this here.
I'm gonna shop on eBay while he's doing this.
Move your car. It's about to be towed.
What?
Yeah.
Holy cow! Wait a minute. You can't fool me.
Okay. Well, now that's it. You signed about 49, 50 books.
I don't know. Well, I signed them all.
He signed them all.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm going to sign book plates.
Oh, right.
For anyone who buys a book at premiercollectibles.com. Okay. So if you go to premiercollectibles.com, remember Premier has an E at the end. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. We're all uncomfortable, but that's just the way it is.
And remember,
premiercollectibles.com/swamp. And you can get a signed book for $20.
Right. Now, but Premier is also IERE. Premier is I before E except after C. So remember, it's PRE, M-I-E-R-E, collectibles.com/swamp.
Now everybody's confused.
Bob's your uncle.
Anyway, but how much time do we have left? I haven't been keeping track. We're still okay? We're still good? Okay.
Yeah.
So what?
It's getting hot in here.
So stretch. No, do we have more questions? Do we have more questions?
There are some I jumped over a couple things here. Oh, here's another
These
one.
are great questions. You're not asking these questions.
Wait a minute.
Alvin.
I asked
What is
them.
your favorite comfort movie?
Well, that might have just
Who
come in.
asked that?
It doesn't say. See over here, it's supposed to see who said it.
What is your favorite comfort movie? First of all, what the heck is a comfort movie? That's like the
I
comfort
could use
women
one.
of Japan. That's kind of not nice. I don't like that. I don't like that. Hey, whoever you are out there,
code?
you know who you are. I don't like it. All right? Knock it off.
Yeah, look at
Hey,
this face.
Hey, knock it off.
Do
Okay.
it.
Next.
Okay. What color is your toothbrush? That's from the 22
I think
questions.
the
I got it down to
should be what color is your
21.
hairbrush? What color is my toothbrush?
Yeah.
Or, I don't believe in brushing your teeth. You know why? Because the tiger never brushes his teeth. Never thought of that. That's right. Okay.
You gave us all something to think about, Mr.
Do we have other
Metaxas.
questions? We've only got minutes left.
I know. See, that's
my
it.
gosh.
I'm looking down here because some people ask the same questions over and over again. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, Albin.
Yeah.
You're the host. You're getting paid the big bucks for this.
I know. Okay, I'm looking.
You know what? Maybe I should flip through here because you're ignoring some of these wonderful questions.
How was your recent trip to Greece? See, we kind of covered that.
Why didn't you ask that?
I'm traveling there next summer,
And it's always been a dream of mine to go. That's okay. You're dismissed. Any travel tips? Greece is awesome. Actually, Greece is so beautiful. The funny thing is, though, because all of my relatives are in Cephalonia, I never go anywhere else. And I want to go. I want to go to Crete. I want to see the palace at Knossos. I want to go to Mycenae.
You
I
haven't
want to go
seen
to all
those?
these. Nah.
Oh,
I want to go to all those places, but. We tend to go to Cephalonia over and over. So we are going to be traveling more around Greece. I want to see Ephesus. I want to see all those places.
Okay, yeah. I
love Greece. I just recommend it. The people are wonderful. It sounds like a cliche, but it's true. It's a beautiful, wonderful place. And they don't steal from you like those Italians. Actually,
that's a
in
good
Italy,
way to end.
No, in all seriousness, when you go to Italy, when you go to touristy spaces in Italy, like they don't give you the right change, and everybody says you got to watch it. In Greece, you don't got to watch it.
No.
Because the Greeks are morally superior. Everybody knows to every other ethnic group. What do you want from me?
And they got good grappa or something. Is that what they have?
No, they don't have grappa.
What is that?
That's the Italian drink. The Greeks have ouzo.
Well, don't they cross the border and get some grappa?
If you want grappa, you got to go to Italy.
Go there and see what you...
Are we out of time?
I think we are.
Are we out of time?
We're getting the nod.
Okay, so here's what we're going to say. If you want a signed book, this is the only place to get it. We really enjoyed this time with you, whoever you are.
We're so glad we had this time.
And
didn't you want to sing?
But the fact that people have been watching this and we don't know who they are, it's creepy. It's just creepy. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do that to you. So, come on. Anyway, this has been a lot of fun. So we're going to be on the radio tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Watch us on the radio or see us on the radio.
Yes.
Or no, you can't. You have to listen. Listen to us on the radio.
Listen.
We're on the radio.
Somebody wanted to know too what's happening with the whole TBN thing, and we'll get into that.
TBN, those crooks, nothing. TBN, they're building us a beautiful
couple weeks
studio.
we'll be up there. So
they're building us a beautiful studio a little bit north of where we are right now. We're down in the Wall Street area, but this is going to be in the Union Square area, and we are so excited we could spit.
Oh yeah, we are. We
are so excited. It is really a beautiful studio. So our radio programs are going to be televised. Now, we've been doing that a little bit over the previous months, but the studio here is, frankly, ugly and dirty. Mm-hmm. And I say that in the best way. Yeah, Salem takes care of its people, just not us.
It looks like we're working in a haunted house.
But the point is that, look, I'm not saying Phil
cobwebs.
Boyce is cheap, okay? He's a friend. He knows that I don't think of him as cheap. Frugal, to a point of pain.
All right.
But not cheap necessarily.
No. Okay. And by the way, Ann, I'll be home soon. Cue up Netflix and the next Dr. Brown, Father Brown episode. Okay.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's wonderful.
That is so cute. Hey, thanks.
Thanks.
See you,
Bye.
kids. Bye-bye.